Well, hello. It is day 61 of my lead cleanse, and I'm going to make sourdough bread. It's going to take a couple of days to make this bread. In the raw food world, you could spend $30 a week and have green smoothies and salads and fruits and vegetables, or you can make more extravagant dishes. So this is going to be one of the more extravagant dishes. Like I said, it'll take me about 3 days to make it, but it'll be good. Now I got this recipe from nouveauraw.com. That's French, I believe. Nouveau, like I think it's new, but I'm not positive. nouveauraw.com. So what I'm going to do in this phase is I'm going to make almond milk, and I'm going to use the almond milk and the pulp and then some probiotics to ferment. I'm going to ferment the recipe for 36 hours, and then I'll go to the next step after that. Okay, so this first step is making almond milk so that I can have almond milk and also pulp. So I take 1 cup of almonds. I already soaked them. I take 1.5 cups of water. That is the first step. Now I have to get my top here. I am going to put the top on and blend. Alright, there you have it. Now, what I have here is a little concoction that I made. Usually you use a milk bag to strain this almond milk, but I have cheesecloth, so I'm going to try it this way. So this is a little concoction I just invented to try to strain it. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it in little pieces, is I'm going to take this almond milk that I just made, and I'm going to put it here just a little bit at a time, and I'm trying to get the water out of the actual milk. So you're going to milk it. It's kind of like you're milking a cow. So I'm trying to actually get the milk and then keep the pulp separate. So I got a little bit of it, and I'm just going to keep doing that until I get the substance out. From there. Alright, so I'm just going to keep doing this. And if you can see, it's almost like I'm milking a cow. I'm creating a milk-like consistency from these almonds. It's so much easier with a milk bag. But I didn't have one, so I'm using my cheesecloth, which is just as good. So as you can see, when I squeeze this liquid is coming out. And then my pulp is staying inside of the cheesecloth. You don't want to squeeze it too hard, because you want to keep the pulp all within the cheesecloth. So it's a little process, but it's kind of cool too. And I have a strainer too, because the strainer is catching the pulp that I'm not getting. So here you go. You got your pulp here. I'm putting my pulp over here. And the milk is going inside of the bigger bowl. And there you go. So I'm going to do one last round of this. All right. Now, pretty much got pulp on one side and we've got milk on the other. And like I said, I'm cutting this recipe in half or in quarters. I'm not even sure yet. We'll see. But yeah, I've got some almond milk here in this bowl, which you probably can't really see it because it's white on white. And then I've got the pulp in this bowl here. Okay? So, I need another bowl, because now what I'm going to do is I am going to pour the rest of my almond, just there's a little bit in here, I'm going to pour it in here. I'm going to rinse out my blender. So now you've got your almond milk in here. So what you do is you take 1 to 6 dates, depending on how sweet you want it. You put it in there, and you take a half a teaspoon of vanilla. This is organic raw vanilla, and I'm just going to put it in there because I'm halving the recipe. So this is half. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm just going to blend this. Alright, so we blended up our almond milk. So for this recipe, I'm using 1 cup of the almond pulp, and I'm going to put that in a bowl. So if I'm using 1 cup, I have to quarter my recipe for the almond milk. So I'm only going to use a 1/4 cup for this of the almond milk, and I'm going to put it in a bowl. And then I'm going to take a half a teaspoon, because well, it's actually a little bit less than a half a teaspoon, probably a 1/4 teaspoon of acidophilus. And I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to mix this all up very well, and then I'm going to put it in the dehydrator for 36 hours to get the sourdough taste. So that's what I'm going to do. And let me mix it, and then I'll show you when I put it in the dehydrator. Okay. So this is the pulp, the probiotics or the acidophilus, and then also the almond milk. So I'll just kind of give you a close-up on that so you can see it. It looks kind of like that. Alright. And all I'm going to do now is cover it just with a little plate, and then I'm going to stick it in the dehydrator. So here I go. And it's in the dehydrator. I'll be dehydrating it, like I said, for 36 hours. This recipe says to heat the dehydrator up to 145 for an hour and then take it back down. I always leave my dehydrator at about 105. So I'm just going to leave it at 105 because to me that's raw. If it takes a little longer, that's fine. So that's the first part of the recipe, and I'll show you the rest of the part in probably a couple days actually, but in your time it'll be in a couple seconds. Alright, see you in a minute. Bye. Okay, so I just took the almond milk, the almond pulp, and the probiotics and fermented them in my dehydrator for 36 hours. So we're done with that step. So now we are on to the next step. Now the recipe is calling for oat flour, and I will show you how I make oat flour. They're using raw oats, and I didn't have raw oats, so I'm using raw organic steel cut oats to make mine. And actually it's this one right here. So all I do to make this is I take my raw food, organic steel cut oats, and I put them inside of my coffee grinder. So now I'm just going to blend it. Okay, so I tap that just so I can kind of put everything back down into the bowl here. And I'm just going to show you. It actually ends up looking a little bit like flour. So it looks kind of like that. Alright? So I'm going to take that oat flour, and I'm going to put it in here. So like I said, I'm modifying their recipe a little. I always do, but it all works in the end. Okay, and then they wanted flax meal. So I called for flax meal. What's flax meal? You take golden flax seeds, you put it in. You can put it in a food processor too, but it works better if you put it in a coffee grinder because it's going to give you that flour texture that you want. So you take your flax seeds, put them in the coffee grinder, and again you just tap your sides to get all the stuff out of the top of your coffee grinder. Take it off, and again I'll show you what it looks like. Again, that's what it looks like, just like flour. So we're going to take that and we're going to put that inside of the food processor. So that part is done. Now our next part, put our bowls to the side here, is we're going to take the psyllium husk, the onion flakes, the onion powder, the Italian seasoning, and the sea salt, and we're going to mix it in here. These are all your dry ingredients according to the recipe. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to pull it forward, and I'm just going to food process all of this. Okay, here we go. And it's like a flour, okay? Because we're going to make like a bread, so it's like it turns into a flour basically. Just pulsing it a little bit. I'm just pulsing it a little bit more so that I can mix it up. Put all the ingredients and mix them. So that's all I'm doing, is just pulsing the recipe. Okay, so now we have a flour. It's like a flour, okay? And we take this big bowl here now, and we're just going to put all of our flour inside of this bigger bowl. And I'm just going to scrape it out, just a little bit left. And you've got that part. Now, you've got that. Now we need our sourdough, like the pulp that we made. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab it out of the dehydrator. And I have a Excalibur dehydrator. It sits right here. This is what you see all the time in my videos. Kind of looks like a microwave. You can put food in it in trays. So it's not like one of the round dehydrators. That was like the first one that I had. But you know, if you start doing this lifestyle a lot, you'll want to get an Excalibur. They're the best. So I'm going to get it. Okay. So now we've got our sourdough portion that has been fermented for 36 hours. And you really do have to watch this because it will start to mold. And you don't want it to mold. I mean, it's not the best. Okay? So really keep it, if I were you, I'd probably do between 24 and 36 hours. But yep, so we put that inside of the flour. And this is what's going to give us that sourdough taste. Okay. Now, here's your wet portion of the ingredients. So this is the water, the lemon, and the honey. So we're going to take that and we are just going to pour it in the mixture. Now I'm just going to take my spoon, get all of it out. There's honey in there, so it's a little sticky. Got that in there. And now we're just going to mix it with a hand. You can mix it with a spoon too, but it's better if you put your own love and energy in it. So we're just going to mix it. We're going to make this into a dough. And you just mix. Make sure your hands are clean, of course. But you just want to mix it. And when I'm mixing it, if you can see this, I'm turning this into a dough, just like bread. And I'm not making a lot because, like I said, I'm only going to be off of my plan or my cleanse for a couple days. So I'm just making enough for a couple days. But this is a really good recipe, I think, just from looking at it. I don't know, I've never made it before, but it just looks like a really good recipe. Like, I can tell it's going to be good. Okay, so we blended that, or mixed that with our hands. And I'm just going to keep doing that for a couple minutes, a couple seconds more. Okay, now we're going to form the dough. Now I just need like 4 pieces of bread. So I'm gonna put it in here. Okay, that's the first step, just like a half a cup, but I'm actually doing a little less than a half a cup. Now when you put it inside of that little half cup, you get like a little shape. Looks like the shape of the half cup measuring cup. And I'm just going to form this into what I want my bread to look like. So here I go. I'm trying to make a sandwich. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than what I'm going to put in it. So I'm just shaping it, and I don't want it too thick, because if it's too thick, then it won't dehydrate as well. And that's good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it on top of my dehydrator tray. This is a dehydrator tray, and this is what we just made, our little bun. Now in order to give it the cooked look, if you want to, you can take some flax meal, which is just what we put inside of our coffee grinder. We just put a little bit of that on top, and then some oat flakes to give it some flavor. And that's, you know, what the recipe calls for. You can always do whatever you want, but that's your basic sourdough recipe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple of these, and I'm going to put them in the dehydrator, and then I will show you how they look when they're done. Alright, so part 3, hold on for part 3 so we can actually see what it looks like. Okay, so I will see you soon, and I will talk to you later. Actually, I don't need to say that because I'm going to show you the bread, and it won't be any time at all. So, we're done for now. Okay, I'm back. So let's see how the sourdough bread turned out. Okay. So here's how it turned out. I don't know if you can see it. It actually did turn out very well. You've got a piece of bread here, and you've got another piece of bread here. And what's amazing is it only took a couple hours. I think it's because I only did like a little bit, but yeah, it only took a couple hours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to like make a sandwich. So I just wanted to show you how it looked. It's pretty cool. You can see it. And I haven't tried it yet because I'm on my cleanse, but I will try it tomorrow. So yeah, dehydrated. We're supposed to dehydrate it for 8 to 10 hours. Since I only had a small amount, it was about 2-3 hours, something like that. So yeah, there's my sourdough bread, and I will see you later. Have a great day. Bye.